welcome to Just Talk Funerals with me, Jason Threadgold.
And me, Nicola Threadgold.
Just Talk Funerals is all about the funeral industry, the people that work alongside us, and an insight into what we do.
We will have some special guests along the way, sharing their experiences and how their professions overlap with what we do.
So get yourselves comfy, grab yourselves a cuppa, and let's get into today's episode of
Just Talk Funerals.
Hi, and welcome back to our next episode of Just Talk Funerals. We're here in our new home at Simpson's Corner now, so a bit different backdrop to what we've had before. And we've got some special guests with us today. So from the Marjara Care Group, we have two very, very special guests. We have Sam and Suz. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for inviting us. I'm Sam Marjara, Director of Marjara Care Group. We operate 4 homes in the group.
My name is Zuzanna and I'm the registered manager for 3 of them. So Sycamore, just round the corner, Gresham, round the corner, and the last one in school be called Respite Care Home.
Fabulous. Thank you for joining us. So genuinely, thank you for coming in. I'm going to bombard you with loads of questions today. And I know we've not prompted you with any of these. So I'm going to zip through these, see where we get to, and then we'll have a bit of a chat at the end.
Yeah, lovely.
So, an introduction to your care group. Could you tell us a little bit about the care group and what facilities you operate, either one of you?
That would be you.
That would be me.
That would be
Okay.
you, yes.
So we operate 99 beds in Scunthorpe and 54 beds in Sheffield. A mix of ensuite and non-ensuite accommodation, but majority of it is ensuite. So that accommodates the elderly in comfortable surroundings with a bed, a wardrobe, and obviously generally they look for ongoing care because they require that and they can't have their needs met generally at home.
I think we've tried, since I took over, I've tried to make sure every home offers something slightly different. So Gresham Lodge, now I can see it clearly, that offers a service for a little bit of dementia on a journey that is far from the beginning of it. Also the mental health issues. It's a small home.
It is.
Residents can be better supervised. Everything can be spotted straight away. Sycamore, big home, 45 beds. I was always thinking it's not best or greatest for residents with severe dementia. Why? Because you just cannot fully control every corner of it. It's so huge because your family put so many extensions to it.
Yeah, it's been
so, and we can't physically, because it's not purpose built, we couldn't physically put it in the units. Therefore, I'm trying to go with something that calls Destination Home Project. We've been successful. I've created a business plan for it, spoke with local authority, and it's working project now. We have got 12 contracted beds for it. We're heading to 15 and then hopefully 30. What it is, it's the project where we work with the Scunthorpe General Hospital. If there are patients in Scunthorpe General that would like to be going home, but they're not quite there yet, they need a little bit more time, they can be admitted to our project. We have got occupational therapists and a social work coming once a week. They work with these people and their families. We've got like a carer therapists. They work with them too. It's an ongoing kind of program of reablement. And then once they're ready, they'll go. But what we say is it shouldn't be longer than 5-6 weeks. Really successful. A few weeks ago, there was a big event in a Baths Hall called, what was it? It was the roadshow for Nodlings Council. And I've done a little project for them. And everybody were quite impressed. We've had within half a year, I believe it was, 68 or 58 people going home from the project. 86 people reached the target, so they went home within 6 weeks. And we do a little feedback surveys every single week with them. I create reports from it, and so far so good. I'm really proud of this. So if anybody thinks Sycamore is mainly for this kind of service. We also provide, of course, the permanent placements or the respite placements. We provide the daycare services. And then Radside. Radside is just a different kettle of fish.
And own little hook, actually.
Own little hook, away from
medium-sized
Scunthorpe, medium-sized village, quiet, beautiful home inside. Staff are they just there for age. Staff don't change. We've got a great retention everywhere, but Radside, I think it's like a top notch for that. They just give that different level and kind of care.
I think
it is for dementia,
also different type
definitely.
of residents as well.
Yeah,
those actually as well, because it's
from
village
the
based,
villages,
so it serves that area.
They look for
really
something else there.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, sorry to interrupt, when you talk about different homes have different kind of key factors that drive people to it. When somebody approaches you to come into a home, or the family's approach to come into a home, do you go through like a kind of interview process to see which one is best for them?
So sometimes people come and they say, I want Sycamore, because it's just neat to me, suits me for whatever reasons. But then you can't really admit the person without completing the full assessment. The assessment goes through the certain questions around not only the health conditions, but also about the social aspect of it. And then if I know that I can see in my mind this person actually suiting so much better elsewhere, then of course I don't kind of stop my mouth and I just say, would you kind of consider? Because I just can't see the future of this person in that particular home. Would that be a problem for the family? And then
I think sometimes they come actually with that perception that it might be easier and it might be more convenient for them, but they're not then always putting the person that we're actually caring for at the middle, actually, of the actual care in particular.
It's our role to,
and it's our role to say
show
that,
them the approach that actually is
the specialism of the staff that we've got there, or the equipment that we provide. Specifically at Rathside, it started actually as trying to be a specific dementia, a specialist dementia care home. So we put specific furniture in there actually that would aid with dementia. It works, but it happens to be that Gresham ended up being the specialist home because of how it's situated and how we've built it and how we've extended it over the past.
And again, because of the size of it.
And the size.
And the level of support that can be offered.
That works really well.
So only time shows sometimes the right route.
But I think Sue's since she's been the registered manager, has created something at each business where if somebody progresses through their journey of dementia or something, you're still able, or anything else, you're still able to keep the resident at the end of the day, because you can offer them different services at different facilities, but still cared for by the same company and the same family.
It's such a comfortable place to be, and it's not only for residents, it's also for staff.
Yeah.
It's such a comfortable place to be, because when you manage one location only, you're a little bit stuck. You feel like you're in a box, kind of. You just can't really go out. When you've got 3 or more, what happens is you have to think outside of the box, and it's such a gorgeous feeling, because if resident would need a different level of care, I don't have to give up on that person. I don't have to say, well, I'm so sorry, we can't look after mum, dad, or whoever, because we just don't have facility. We can't do A, B, or C. No, I can sit down and say, actually, I can offer something. I can offer something else. I can see that's my plan. Can we move this person, whatever? And that's a great plan. For the staff, exactly the same. Sometimes you employ staff member and you think, I'm not being funny, but you're just not made for Sycamore. You're just not this kind of really, really kind of quick moving person who is able to manage this, and the other. But you know what? Actually, Gresham's going to be better for you. It's smaller. You can offer what you do best in there. So shall we do a little swap? Maybe at Gresham there's somebody who would suit Sycamore better. That's why retention is so good as well. It's a really good place to be. Maybe people think it's hard work. For me, it isn't. Better for me. It's just how I see it.
I think people looking in from the outside in the care industry, they probably don't see all the things that you offer, and they just see it as a place where somebody goes.
Absolutely.
Especially in the sort of care, not necessarily residential, that it's sort of a precursor to them passing away. And I didn't understand when you said there about you've got all the occupational therapists and things involved as well, and that pathway that you're doing between hospital and home.
Yeah.
And you actually proactively wanting people to get back into their own homes.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to staying in your care facility.
Listen, the biggest motto is home first. And that's something that local authority is making very, very strong in Nordlinks. Home first is always, it's been very strong for a while now, for I would say months.
So.
And this is where, you you have to change your approach as the operations manager or provider, director. You have to change this approach constantly. Depends on what's needed in the area.
The business is based on, possibly having your beds full all the time. We understand that, and that's what Sue's obviously, one of the roles is. But at the same time, you celebrate the good care actually that you're providing and the training actually of the staff. If you're succeeding in what you're doing, if you can get somebody back into their own home because it's successful, you've got them to be able to, to be independent that little bit longer. Yes, we are there for a function. We are there for, it's kind of a last resort, I suppose. But it's still, when you are in, it's an experience. Life doesn't stop just because you're in a care home. It continues. And they're even more sociable than we are. We create things for them.
What's this series on Netflix now? Olaf's watching it, my son now constantly. Is it of this child that got lost and they're searching for it? Stranger Things.
Okay.
We're not Stranger Things. We're not that monster without the head that basically once you're in a care home, then we're just going to eat you when you're there and you just can't access home anymore. We're not that.
I think the concept of coming into a care home is mums, dads, grandmothers, etc. actually as well. It's just life's gonna, there isn't much else to aspire to. There's a
generational change.
We create things, we create opportunities. They're experiencing things that they generally haven't been able to do before in their lives, and it's all to the staff actually as well, and and who I've got there actually to create that experience for them. Yes, care is always there actually as well. That's the reason why they're there, but they do specific nights, actually themed nights. They're experiencing food actually that they've never had before, and events, and culturally experiencing Diwali actually as well, and Ramadan and everything.
I try
it's fantastic.
Every night, 10 p.m. when I'm in the bath, I'm just there with my phone and trying to add things.
And we see this, genuinely we do. And to be honest with you, you're the only sort of care group where I see this sort of proactively coming out.
Yeah,
and
very active.
We know what social media is like. You're going to get good reaction, you're going to get bad reaction from some people.
Yeah.
And we all get our fair share of it, I'm sure. But what we're seeing with you putting it out is it is all about them opportunities that you're giving people. Absolutely. Taking them out down Ashby, taking them shopping, letting them do their own shopping, that kind of thing. It's amazing.
Be able to access local community.
Yeah.
Care home is not the place where they just basically, okay, door is closed, that's it, you in now, love, until your last day. Nothing like this.
That's it. No. I mean, at pre-admission, they say, well, can we pick our family members up and take them out? It's not a prison. Come on. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Of course you can. And if you want to be that involved, of course you can. We're not going to stop you actually from doing that. The family themselves has got a family member actually as well in one of our homes. We're looking after a family member at the moment, and it's difficult to then have your professional head on at the same time as then being basically a family member. But I still have to create basically a world actually and an experience for that particular person as well. And that'll continue. And I think it's we're growing actually as a growing business. We have to evolve our care. We have to be that little bit more modern about our approach. We have to. I think the biggest thing is being flexible. You have to be flexible with the care. You have to think that we're not just come to a dead end now, and that's as much as what we can do. It's thinking actually. It's being innovative about the care.
Just seeing future.
Just seeing the future.
Just seeing future. It's like being on that second horizon all the time. Don't be stuck on the first one, isn't it? You have to see the future. Not essentially make it happen right now, but seeing it, having a plan, and then just going with the flow when the flow allows.
The world's changing every day, and you've got to be able to adapt and react to whatever's put in front of you. And if you're not proactively looking at ways to change how you do things, you'll just get stuck in that old routine, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of touched on it already, and I'm going to sort of skirt back to it. What's the real philosophy behind your care group? What is it that makes you want to do this? What's your driving factor?
You take that one actually as well, because it's wanting to be basically what because you trained in something completely different before you ended up basically in this industry.
I did at all. It's all connected. I started when I was 18 years old, and I was a carer. While I was a carer, I was doing the university for 5 years. Really hard work, because you're just working and then you're traveling and just to attend. So I've done coaching, psychology and gerontology, and yes, it is connected. And while I was doing that, I was also doing NVQs, level 3, level 5, whatever it is. So very long kind of way. And we're talking, I'm now 34 years of age. So we talk all this kind of time. And I think the philosophy is changing as we go along. In the past, the philosophy behind Marjara Care Group was just provide a good care. That was the philosophy of it. Just be there, provide a good care, and that was pretty much enough. The philosophy now is completely different because, like you said, we touched on this ground already, and philosophy is different because of the different care that is required. But no matter what, I can see it like that. We always wanted to be the ones that are trusted to look after the loved ones. So
I think we want people to think, basically, Marjara Care Group, if there's somebody that, specifically, not is a challenge, let's not be, has some specific needs, and they feel as though basically Marjara Care Group can be flexible enough to, to accommodate somebody basically that maybe has had a failed placement maybe in the past from a different provider actually as well. So, and this is why we keep coming back to, being flexible and, being open. Suze will get approached actually on a weekly basis about somebody that, that may be a project actually as well. Basically somebody that needs
some sort of magic about it, because what happens is every so often we've got a phone call saying direct inquiry calls from the social worker, sometimes from the family member, and they would just say, my mum or dad or my client, they just need something different that others they just can't at the moment offer. It's the project, like Sam called it, and then I scratch my head and I just try to make it happen. Is it because I'm just a little bit slightly different culture? Is it because I like a challenge as a person, but I don't see myself as a person because that person goes into their company. So the company is kind of seeking that nature from me at the moment. Sam sees that so much. He sees how kind of company can change, depends on who is leading that company.
Yeah.
So
and it's not always
this philosophy of the challenge and the philosophy of challenge and the philosophy of being so ready for anything and accommodation, isn't it? This is what's there.
I think again, with the 3 homes in Scunthorpe are as purpose-built as you're ever going to get, because we've been, adjusting them and building them and making them, market competitive since 1990. Sycamore was the first home, and it's had 8 purpose-built extensions on that particular home. But still to this day, we've had, purpose-built homes open up in the area or anything, and it still is very much, to this day, an attractive place to accommodate somebody, because we've always thought for the future, what if care changes? What if the requirements change? What if CQC change their kind of directive on, larger accommodation and, giving tools to the staff to be able to, to be that more flexible around the care. So it's, again, innovative around, care planning systems and what else we can do actually to be that little bit more person-centred. And I think that's the narrative actually around, there's nobody out there that we feel as though that we wouldn't be able to accommodate. And it's not always financially led as well, because it's not that way.
That's
it's generally hurting and giving back.
That's my fault.
It's always generally...
My decisions are not always financially beneficial for the company.
But if somebody is in need actually of care, and we can celebrate the fact that, it might be the last place actually as well that they end up basically calling home, but we've actually succeeded in that.
Yeah, I can create a real life story, isn't it? Presented, and it looks so great, and it's
touching on that finance side of things. Yeah, I'm sure probably a lot of families are really concerned about when somebody does come into care. Of course, how do they finance it? Yeah. Where does the money come from? Is there assistance? That sort of thing out there. Yeah. Is that something that you would talk
we are the biggest
through?
Assistance.
Yeah, I think again, actually, some people are a little bit better versed than others, because other people, go to the degree of researching these things, and there's a lot of information out there from the local authority, but I think sometimes you just have to give them the what they need to know of, care funding actually as well. And it's certainly something that local authority will assist with. But again,
sometimes it takes so much time. So what happens is when we've got like a direct inquiry, sometimes people say, I'm just so unsure how to answer on this question. And the question is, of course, how is mum and dad, how is the resident going to be funded?
Yeah.
And at that point, I have to ask, okay, so did you have any support from social services? Any kind of financial assessment happened, whatever? And they'll say, yes, but I don't know the outcome yet. But mum needs care now. And this is where the biggest challenge comes from. And this is where everything starts, because you have to then sit down and explain, okay, so what is the threshold? Can you share this information with me? Based on that information, we can, say, even if the financial assessment has been completed, if the threshold is below a certain amount, I'm not going to go into details because it's just pointless at the moment. It's just not fair. But if it's below, then yes, mum will be funded by local authority. You have to pay contribution. But then another question is local authority going to decide that mum has got the long-term care needs? And once you actually sit down with these people and go through all these questions and explain everything slowly, then they just feel so much more reassured. Because we're in this system for so long now.
What we do actually is we give them
we know every trick.
The short and understood version, basically, of care needs. Now, anybody can make a lifestyle choice to come into a care home as long as they're, if they can afford it at the end of the day, because they're privately funded, they can choose to obviously, come and use our facilities and use that. But the local authority do assess people actually as well to wanting to need care. And only at that point will they obviously fund it.
Again, the home first approach.
Home first, possibly care at home as well.
Great example. Only this morning, isn't it? We've had an email from the certain gentleman. My mum needs care. I can't manage this. I can't manage this anymore. This is just like a scenario that happens every so often. I've had social services out 3 times, and they're still saying that mum does not meet the criteria for the long term care or even respite care. She's fine at home. They're going to sort the home care package for her. But in the meantime, I have to support her. I just cannot do it any longer. Okay, so what happens is, are you happy to fund her care? Well, no, she doesn't have enough funds to fund her care. Are you happy to, I don't know, maybe support her with the daycare? Or that might be a good solution. So you see, we always try to kind of come up with, okay, what's next? What's the next option? I just don't like the thought that there is no other option to help. I just like to find that one option that is going to work.
The person needs guidance. He doesn't look like he's getting the right kind of answers actually as well out there. So, when he's made his inquiries to us directly.
I'm so surprised sometimes that these options are not discussed fully by social services. Often they are, but sometimes they're not. So they're just missing.
Again, on this one, we've tried to help. As it is at the moment, that person's not a resident of ours, but if we think for the future that they could be, and we've helped somebody, because it looks like he's the person actually that's the direct carer for his mother at the end of the day, and
and he's in crisis.
Listen, he's in crisis at the end of the day. He's got a life actually as well of his own. We don't know whether he's got a family that he's trying to support himself, his own family. At the same time, he highlights, because he knows his mum better than anybody else, that his mum needs care.
And you said that my psychology and coaching is not related to what I do. Is it not? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
So you see, I needed the confirmation.
Okay, so you're going to have scenarios where people really do need assistance, where they're going to need their loved one to come into your care.
Yep.
It might be a case they can't afford it. Like you said, they've had an assessment and they're not entitled to it. As a business, because there is an element of this as a business as well, you're going to have to probably carry a lot of, with the amount of beds you have, turnover in the fact that you're not getting monies in straight away.
Should have.
Yeah. So I would guess you're probably waiting. And we know how local authorities work. So you might be waiting weeks, months even to get refunds. How do you manage that on a business sense? Making sure that you're on top of things like cash flow and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, you do the best you can with running the business as efficiently as possible. And I think that's where myself and the family come in, because although yes, we discuss on a business level with Suze what her kind of budgets are actually and what she can spend on X and staffing and, renovations, etc. There has to be an understanding there that not always are you going to have beds filled all the time, or you may be waiting for local authority to release some money actually on an agreement, and you continue in, and it's
It calls a contingency plan, a financial contingency plan, isn't it?
What we try and do actually as well is not, go from month to month thinking, we're a small family and because we've made X, we can spend X, I suppose, actually, on the business. It's always looking at a rainy day and thinking, there may be something with the building that we have to, again, adjust, actually, or Suze may give us a proposal, actually, on something that she may need, because that may lead to, more financial gain maybe in the future, but it's always led, actually, by this is what I want to provide, actually, for the residents first. It's always led that way. Yes, or we will always kick back and say, okay, so what kind of a return is this kind of for? But initially, first, this would put the brand and your family name actually as well, and the care homes actually as well, and the reputation
benefit
for this.
And then next one,
and then it will be else. Yes, but there will be a return. It might not be immediate, but we can see it for the future. And again, people
and this is supporting that
and do that, and
financial.
So and that's it. We heavily invest into our care homes. There's never a month actually that we're not doing something to change and decorate and, to do that, because we understand, they are, buildings that have been adjusted actually in the past, but you walk in actually as well and there's an immediate sense of home at the end of the day. They're not clinical at all. We get involved actually as well, and we do take feedback from, we don't just choose furniture actually that we just want to just because we're funding it as a family. It has to be functional. It has to be for a use.
Oh, you're running away from the question.
So again,
thank you.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you touched on a while back, you're talking about, I'm going to use the words competition, if you like. Mm-hmm. So there are other care groups out there are other providers. We see that yours stands head and tails above a lot of the others around.
So, yeah.
And we see things like the big national, international companies coming in.
Mm.
Do you think by giving what you're giving and make it more homely feel, it's more appealing to people than that clinical, long corridors, lots of rooms off one?
Jason, don't you think that you know the answer to this question?
Well, I do. I was just getting your perspective on it, really.
I share your approach because you are a family from here. You are from Scunthorpe. You know the community. Community knows you. So this is the huge key, really, to a success. I think the big companies, although yes, they can offer A, B, C, they never in any financial troubles, but the directors are away. They sit in, I don't know, in Hawaii and, drink and watch all them ladies, and then they've got a phone call and they said, I'm so sorry, I just don't have time now for this. Or the managers, they earn all these ridiculous amount of monies, but all they do is sit actually and look at the figures. While can you see here that we have got a completely different approach and we live and breathe what's happening in homes. And I would like this to be seen, and I would like this to actually be recognized as this different kind of level of care.
I think you can only ever understand what you're providing, actually, if you're kind of involved in it and you understand basically who you've got. We always said that we'd never want to be big enough as a care group that we didn't know who our residents and who our staff were. And yes, you can do it on a larger level and, you can be that much more successful, but you then, in your local communities where you're operating, just get labelled actually as a generalised care group at the end of the day that meets the needs actually of specific people, but there's just not much more actually that you guys provide. And you just think, right, okay, no, that's not what we first signed up for, I suppose. That's not why we entered into care. It was for good care. But now, like you said, you've got to evolve, actually. You've got to keep that there. And being that we're a family that have been here for 35 years, we've got local knowledge, actually, as well. We work hand in hand, actually, with other businesses. And we understand what we have to provide locally at the end of the day. And something different to then the large corporates that mass produce care because every building looks the same, every interior looks the same, and,
Some people like it, and that's absolutely fine.
It's fine.
I broke my career with Marjara Care Group for a period of, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
At that point, I got offered, that was after I had my first son. And I got offered the position of assistant area manager and then deputy area manager. for a different care group. At that point, we've had 6 or 7 homes in different places, Derbyshire, Lincolnshire. My job was there to assist and deputise to the area manager called Kim. And until now, I'm so grateful to this woman, because she was as crazy as she was the source of knowledge and a source of information and approach that I've never seen before. And she's really, I am grateful until now. And I'm using this to say thank you, because I've learned so much from her. But what I want to say now is, I've seen like 7 different homes. Our job was to kind of go to the homes that we used to say, oh, the owners are going for shopping. What is the shopping? Just buy a new home, just like that. Right. Yeah, they could afford it, and they were a great family. But they just and then we were going there, trying to repair everything what was not correct. So if there was a requires improvement, then we needed to put it back to good for CQC within 3 months. If the embargo was on from local authority, our job was to basically take that embargo away and start kind of having admissions. And we were really successful with that. But that's just the introduction to what I want to say. I've seen so many different homes and so many different managers and so many different approaches. And in big companies, how it works is the manager works from 8 to 4, let's call it, yeah? At 4 o'clock, he just establishes some form of on-call. Senior A today, Senior B on a Tuesday, whatever it is. And then she's got the comfort of just switching the phone off, and she's just not kind of, she just needs that time for herself, kind of, while, you know, in the smaller companies like this, I don't think I have ever established an on-call that I am sticking to. I'm always there, and it, for people or for you, it might be like, oh, you're talking rubbish. You just couldn't possibly do it. I actually can. Mm-hmm. Because I've trained the girls to that level within 3 homes that they usually know the answers, but I always tell them, ring me and ask me, text me quickly, yeah? As soon as I can, I'll text you back, because I would rather have that full control. And this is what I don't think it's many homes where this happens. And again, it comes from the different culture, I believe. Mm-hmm. I've got different, how to call it? I've got just different policies and procedures in my head because of where I am from, because I'm not kind of from UK, and UK kind of mental health well-being of the managers is so important. But rather than my mental health well-being, I'll manage that fine. I would rather everybody else's mental health well-being to be the priority. And this is where the difference comes from.
I think they need that response, so they deserve that response fairly quickly. And that's the only thing with being in a corporate kind of, you know, the larger corporate companies where you don't get answers immediately. Yeah. You know, and that's the thing.
You have to await
sometimes if you're awaiting those, again, the resident basically suffers because it's waiting for a response for something.
It works in some ways.
Generally resident-based, isn't it, or resident-related. And you're thinking, you know, if it's a new piece of equipment or if it's something actually as well that we need to purchase, yes, okay, Suze will always have to obviously, you know, approach us and say we need it, but it's not going to go up through.
Yeah, but I know where you live, so I'll drive to you.
Yeah, okay. No. On a serious level, actually, as well, it's being responsive and saying, yes, things need to continue, and I understand basically that it might not have been in the budget to do it, but we can see that there's no other way. We have to provide, and that's my job. We have to provide basically so the residents have the best support, care, and experience while they're in our care from start to finish at the end of the day.
So we talked a lot about the actual residents that are in your care and their well-being. What about your team members? How do you support them?
Can't do it without them. They're amazing.
Mental health, well-being, how do you support them?
Yeah, but whatever I said, it was to do with the staff, isn't it? Because they need my answer.
Yeah.
They need my answer, and without that answer, they would be stressing and they would be sweating and they would be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm not sure whether I'm making the right decision here. And
I think they see, actually, because we're so responsive and because we're connected all the time, and, you know, and that's what it is.
Listen, even for the maintenance, yeah, we don't usually you just put it in a book and then the maintenance man comes the next day, he reviews the book and then he's working on things. Now, I was really naughty because what I've done is, he didn't like it at the beginning, but then he just got used to it now. Mm-hmm. We've introduced WhatsApp for the maintenance for every single home. And what happens is I've added every senior in there, every head housekeeper, every head of the department for the kitchen. I've added Sam, I've added maintenance gentleman. And what happens is, if they've got a problem, 10 p.m. at night, 8 p.m., whatever it is, take a picture of it, add what the problem is. And then it's like a live reporting that works so well. That's just an example of how we support staff.
As long as it's not unsafe as well, we can basically get to it at the end of the day. But it's just knowing basically that when you've seen a job that needs to be done, that it's not just, listen, we can go through channels of, let's put a piece of paper in place that reports the problem, and then it needs to be passed to somebody, and then somebody needs to action it and sign it off. Yeah. Let's be modern about it. Let's be innovative about it.
Just try to cut the procedures. Yeah. But also what's biggest at the moment, and I can see it, this is huge, it's young mothers, or people that are main carers. What I'm leading to is the flexible work patterns. Yeah, sometimes people cannot find a job; they stay home. They losing sometimes money. They losing the development. They losing the progress, just because they just can't find suitable place to work. Because nobody wants to offer them something that calls their shift patterns. Yeah, but what I believe in is, if I actually give you the shift patterns you want, and you're not going to let me down by calling in the morning at 5 to 8. I'm sorry, I've got a migraine, I can't come to work. Yeah, this is clear. You can't do that to me. But then I understand that you're going to give me the quality back. So it's a respect for respect, deal for deal. I do that in many cases. And it works. Again, it comes back to the staff retention. We have got high staff retention. I think for this as well. Quite a couple of months ago, somebody who works for us for many, many years, her personal circumstances have changed. You know how people just, they come and go. Anyway, her personal circumstances have changed. She's gone through a little bit of hell at home. We've supported all this, and then her shift patterns were just not working for her. So again, we had to kind of sit down saying, what is going to work for you, love? What is going to make you happy, and what is going to support you so you can be more comfortable, not only in work life but in personal life. Okay, this and this. Okay, let's make things happen. Yeah, anybody else wants anything else that maybe it can work opposite to that? Yes. Yeah. Okay, things are possible. In 90% of cases, need is a must. Yeah, and I would rather do something for them and retain that staff member rather than lose a years of training, a years of a relationship, just because something has changed and I'm not being prepared to do it.
That's actually probably more damning for me actually as well, because you've got to put that training back into somebody else actually, and not specifically trust somebody from out of the pool actually as well to then come into into it and then think, right, okay, so it needs, this person needs a full amount of years worth of training, and you have to start at this level actually as well, and then have to provide. And actually what you've done is actually not just sit and listen to the person basically, and be able to be that little bit more flexible around keeping that, and they have that many good qualities as well, which again, we can't do it without the staff, and every one of them has an individual quality that you highlight. You just know when you sit down and, the girls interview them actually as well, there's something that they're actually providing that they can actually give back to our residents. And they've already done the biggest thing, which is why I always say to the staff, listen, you've done the biggest thing. You've got a job with us. You've done something right at that interview to get there. Maintain it and look after it now as well. And that's the biggest thing that we do now.
So for the care group itself, what's the future look like for you? Are you staying as you are? Is there anything on the horizon that we should be?
I think I'd like to be busier. I think I'd like to be. I'm still, of an age actually where I can do it, I suppose.
Are you?
Young enough.
He's not very young. He looks young.
Younger than you, Sue, don't I at all? But you're younger, right?
Right, okay. Well, I'm a hard-working woman, clearly.
Absolutely.
And you must be not very hard-working man.
I think also you have aspirations of obviously doing something not different as well, but obviously doing this, for the future. And it may be that there may be a building or two more, and we feel as though we have the resources and the current maybe staff actually in those areas to do that.
Jason, everybody would like to develop themselves with the time. So, now I've got 3 very good deputy managers. They're with me for years, and sometimes I am disclosing this, I maybe shouldn't, but sometimes there are times, not now it's busy, but there are times where they just sit in the office and call me and say, Sus, is there anything more I can do?
At that point, you feel as though there's a project.
And then you just feel like, okay, I need to better you. not only as a person, as, with your workload, I want to give you more because they want more, but that means that we can better them financially. And in the current climate, financial climate, it's so important to be able to give staff a little bit more to help them out. I can see your job adverts. I can see what you offer. I can see your, I'm so impressed with what you do for your staff. And I only wish that, one day I'll be in the position where Sam would say, okay, we're going to give them, I don't know, health insurance or something. You know what I mean? I only wish, because this is where staff are going to feel more valued, better. Again, mental health well-being comes into it. So at the moment, I'm trying to do it in a different ways.
We've given them some resources actually as well. We've just gone to a new bright HR actually kind of policy actually as well, where, machine actually as well, where they've got access actually as well to talking to an individual basically if they've got some, things going on, or if they need to. Sometimes people approach us and then not always that they can fully, kind of talk about those, the problems that's at home, because we have a certain level actually as well that we have to obviously maintain. There's a professional boundary, and Suze gets more of it, more on the other side, I suppose.
Is that psychology maybe?
But you do like your voice, don't you? But at the same time, like I said, I'll do anything for the staff actually as long as they can give us that back. And I think that's the difference between people staying with us as well, because they feel as though they can, talk to us, that they're going to be listened to, and they're not just going to be a number as well within a large pool of people. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has, everybody's opinions actually as well. Sue's always, quality assures that, and always thinks, is there anything else that we can do with our buildings? And a lot of the time they've got some really good ideas.
Yeah.
It's just what's possible sometimes.
Of course. Yeah. Well, guys, I could sit and talk to you all day long, but time's against us.
No, of course.
So I think we'll have to reconvene this on another day.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for coming in.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Talk Funerals.
We really care about what you think. We'd love your feedback on the subjects raised today, or maybe you have a question you would like us to talk about in a future episode. You can contact us by emailing podcast@threadgoldfunerals.com.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and the services we offer, then please head to jasonthreadgoldfuneraldirector.com. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time.